Welcome to the e-sales podcast, your ultimate guide to mastering the art of online selling. Whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, digital marketer, or sales professional, this podcast is the passport to dominating the digital marketplace. My name's V, your e-sales navigator. Join me as we dive into the latest strategies, tools, tactics to help you automate and conquer the world of online sales. Get ready to boost your online sales game and unlock your full potential. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome. I'm very excited to have Jessie here with me today. She reached out through Facebook and I was really interested to hear about her story. So now Jessie's story actually began in 2019 when she accidentally launched her product-based businesses, turning bike waste into eco hair ties. So she's all about talking about the circular economy and really helping businesses create their sustainable impact in the world. So Jessie, I'm really excited to hear what your story is all about and how you can help other businesses build their circular economy. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me by. I did see your channel and I was like, oh, I need to be on this channel. I love what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And so, we're really keen to hear about you and how you've kind of turned your business into a bike waste to eco hair tie. So start with that and then we can go with the flow from there.
Yes, yeah. So the way I design products now is very different to how I designed the product back then. So it started with I was going out for a surf. I didn't have a hair tie. Being a surfer, I'm really passionate about the environment and the ocean, just naturally being in the nature all the time. And I was going surfing and my hair ties were just coming out of my hair to the point where I didn't have any hair ties. So I was leaving these hair ties in the ocean, feeling awful about it.
Yeah.
And it was one day I was going out for a surf and I didn't have a hair tie. So I turned to my partner at the time and I was like, what do I do? Like I'm not going out with a hair tie. It's a bit of a thing if you've got long hair, you don't want like the hair in your face when you come out of the water.
Absolutely.
It's a bit terrifying for me at the time anyway. And so he made me a hair tie out the back of our van. He just cut up a little bit of an inner tube, and I thought that was the most awful thing that I could put in my hair, but I was like, I have no option. I popped it in my hair, went, had the best surf. My hair tie didn't come out. And then when I came out of the surf, my hair wasn't ruined. Like it was like, oh, you've actually designed something incredible. And just in the little community that I was living in, some of the guys cottoned on to these hair ties and were coming up to me. I was like a little dealer on the beach for hair ties. And so all the surfers were like, can I get some of those hair ties? Da, da. And then I was thinking, it was just, okay, do I start a business? Like, should I actually try and like sell these things? Because there's nothing else in the market that's an eco alternative to a hair tie. And so it started off just very novel, very like amateur. Like I just bought a couple of tins, put the hair ties in the tins, and started just handing them out to people.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Amazing. I think you're a perfect example of how a business idea can actually turn into, I guess, something that can actually make you money, hair ties.
Yeah,
Like for me, I'm like, what? How could
I
you
know.
even think of that concept, which I think is fascinating. So tell me more about, when you started selling hair ties, what made you kind of go into building it online and kind of creating this eco business out of it?
Well, even before that, it's such a disruptive product because I'm old school, and I know you teach a lot of different sales techniques on your YouTube channel, and I should probably look through them. But I'm old school. I was the kid that wanted to get a job before I could be old enough to get employed. So I made little business cards at home and would just go to people's doors, door knocking and saying, I can babysit, I can weed your front yard, da da. So I just took that mentality. I've heard no a lot
Yeah.
because of doing that as a kid and being one of four kids. I'm used to the word no. And I would go into shops with my hair ties back in 2019 and say, do you want to buy these hair ties? And there were people that they wouldn't even touch the hair tie. They were
Yeah.
like, I'm not touching that. That's waste.
Yeah.
Um, Far and few between, but it was definitely a challenge. And that's when I realized that we really need, I'm not just selling hair ties, I'm selling a whole ethos, like a new type of way of living.
Mm,
Because the other thing that I cottoned on to is that sustainability, it's a really good buzzy word, especially back then.
mm.
But what it means is sustaining something, so leaving it
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
And when I would talk about circular economy, it was like speaking another language, and it
Mm.
wasn't always landing. But when it did land, it really just took off. So it was about finding my people, who are my customer. I was getting real time data by going into these different stores. And it kind of just blew up. Like the local paper loved the story. So I got a 2-page spread in the local paper. I quickly realized that the consumer was eco-conscious, they were active, they were already on the path. Like they probably in their cupboard had a reusable coffee cup that they'd get
Mm.
out every day. And so it it was, yeah, it happened quite rapidly that I was able to make that distinction. And then I got into the online world, and it hasn't always been smooth sailing, because try and run Facebook ads when you've got one product for $25, the ROAS is awful.
Yeah.
It's not even worth your time. So it's been a few years now, and it was last year that I got approached by a good friend. We met via Facebook, did a giveaway together. She does shampoo conditioner bars,
Mm.
and approached me last year and said, I had a dream about you. I'm selling my business to you. She's based in the Northern Rivers in Byron Bay. And I said, yeah, I actually do need to expand my product range, because I want to get in on these bundles, and I want to start doing Facebook ads and make it worth my spend. So I've since gone from an eco hair tie to a full hair care range.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, amazing. And organically as well, coincident, like you didn't even search for the expansion. Your friend kind of woke up and said, I had a dream about you. Take my
Yes.
business and run with it.
Yes. And it was just perfect timing, because I was also working with a business coach who said, Jessie, you need more product.
Yeah.
And that was a new thing for me, because the eco hair ties found me. The waste problem and the solution came to me. And I'd never before that designed products and tried to
Yeah.
come up with this type of thing.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
lots of very happy coincidences.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's sort of like the journey of business overall, like all these coincidences, all these people, all these ideas kind of eventually kind of leads to a path, even though you don't necessarily see it as such.
Yes.
It
Yep.
does.
Well, I'll give you another story. So I've just come from Beauty Expo over the weekend,
Yeah.
which is over 2 days. And day one, I got a lot of ecom people coming up to me saying, Jessie, you've got to expand. Like you've got to get the packaging up to scratch. I've still got tins that I put the stickers on, or I should say Annette, who does my pick packing, puts the stickers on. And so I'm getting approached on Saturday. You go to the bank, you've got to go to the bank, borrow heaps of money, improve the product packaging. In fact, the packaging should cost more than the product itself.
Yeah.
And so I walked away on Saturday thinking, oh my goodness, like I've got to get into debt to get my business up to the next thing. But it just didn't sit right with me, because I'm all about intuition and just
I get it.
following that. And so the next day I was like, no, like it's more like a volcano. So there's a lot of power. It's bubbling away all the time. And then one day it'll just take off.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
but it can happen nice and slowly, nice and sustainably.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that so much. And so, if you were to kind of give like the audience a bit of a tip as to how to kind of approach their business in terms of creating this kind of ecosystem, what's one tip that you'd give them?
Well, I actually came up with a few tips, because
Ah,
I was thinking, like, in particular, service-based businesses, I think with products, it's quite, well, for me anyway, it's quite easy. And I'm happy to go into that, because I do
yeah,
now let I've got a service now where I help product-based businesses to become more circular.
yeah.
And so that's something I want to mention. If you've got a product-based business or you're in manufacturing, I do offer that so that people can learn from me.
Okay.
And there's things like, so with circular economy, it's creating different loops or different bands within the business.
Yep.
So you could have things like what I've implemented with a take back program. So how can you get more longevity out of that product and the resources you've created? So I would look at take back programs. I would look at, if you've got a high value item that costs a lot of money, could you look at a leasing option instead of
Yep.
people maybe they purchase it once to, oh, this is not a great example, but like steam clean their carpets or wash their windows or
Yep.
something. It's like, or it's like snow gear. I've just did a snow trip recently. Can you instead offer it as a leasing service?
Yep.
Do a repair service, is there materials you're using that you can improve on? They could be more sustainable or made from waste to be upcycled. Can you educate your customers on, once you finish using this as a, I don't know, a coffee cup, you can then use it in 5 other ways to
Yeah.
extend life. And then there's some really great initiatives around. One of them that I'm loving is called Utilitarian World. So
Yep.
you can go onto Utilitarian World, which is an app, and find your product and then find out how you can recycle it or move it on to its next stage of life.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't really your question. The question was more about the service-based businesses or how people can add in circular economy as a service base.
Yeah, but that
And
still kind of ties in anyway, regardless, right? Whether
true,
it is service or product.
true. And I think service can seem like a little like less less options potentially to what I just listed. But I mean, one of the potentially more obvious ones is if you're a digital content creator, recycle your content. So old video content, recycle it, collaborate with others, exchange and repurpose,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's doing two things. It means that you're working with what you've already got. And I think this happens anyway, that there's a lot of recycling of content, but then you're also fostering a circular approach within the creative community.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one that I came up with just from watching your YouTube video with Brian from Green Pal, I would love to propose to him that he's got this incredible platform, 300,000 plus users that all go out and mow lawns. I'm not a gardener or a farmer, but
Yeah.
what I've observed in my local permaculture communities around here is that people are taking out their lawns and they're putting in native and indigenous plants. So things that aren't so water reliant, especially
Mm.
being in Australia. They're putting in trees that provide shade and habitat for the local animals
Yeah.
and planting food. So I'm just thinking, I got so excited and I thought Brian could use that platform to speak to people with lawns
Yeah.
and start putting them in a different direction. They'll still need to be maintained. They'll still need that person to go out regularly and do some upkeep. But it's an interesting talking point and value proposition. Like, why do we have lawns that are so water reliant and need constant maintenance and really don't provide anything that other than, I don't know what they
Look,
look good. They
greenery.
look good. You can put a picnic rug down and have a picnic. But yeah, it was just one of those things.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a platform with an audience, you could use that for education, sustainability topics, promote different concepts, do
Mm.
workshops, consultations.
Yeah.
So that was the other one that popped up for me. And then also looking at efficiencies. So
Yeah.
but I think it was before we started recording, you mentioned AI.
Yeah.
And there is waste when it comes to human hours and labor. And if we can use things like AI tools to support our staff, to support ourselves, then those additional hours we could use to give back to our community. We can do some volunteering, we can pack some food boxes for the local food banks. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
And then I think going from there, the other things are just, I think, small but really easy wins, like having reusable cups, having mug libraries in your workplace, having a
Yeah.
little kitchen for staff so they can bring in food, reheat leftovers, have maybe a herb garden,
Mm.
things like that, so you can start transitioning. Oh, paperless as well. So you can
Yeah.
start transitioning the workplaces into more sustainable circular environments.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. And I think, it's one thing to have these ideas, but it's another thing to implement, and it's another thing to get people to consciously do it as a practice, right? So, as a business, what do you think or would suggest to businesses who are trying to implement sustainability um practices in their business? So, yeah, and
Yeah,
to get
I
people on board is what I'm trying to say. How do you get people on board this bus?
gotcha. So, I mean, I've just gone down the B Corp route. So a few months ago, got B Corp certification. It is a long road. It's a big undertaking and it required lots of rapid change within my business.
Mm,
I probably wouldn't recommend that as a first step for most businesses because I think we're looking at like those bite-sized chunks.
yeah.
To hark back to what Utilitarian World is doing, Tim Lee, who's developed that platform, something he's done with some big offices in town is getting staff to recycle their laptop. But the incentive is once they've logged their laptop and recycled it, they can actually see its journey and they'll get pinged a message to say, your laptop has now been refurbished and it's now with this organization helping this
Mm,
disadvantaged community. So it's
mm.
giving them the story, the waste story, and also the impact and the effect. So I feel like having that kind of thing would be motivating
Yeah.
because so often you just pop something in the recycling bin. Landfill's a bit of a mystery or perhaps a kind of metaphor for something what we don't know. And we don't see it ever again. Whereas what Tim's done is create that transparency so you can then
Yeah.
later on hear the good news story that
Yeah.
by putting your laptop in that bin, it's now gone to help a kid in a disadvantaged area to be
Yeah.
able to finish high school or
Yeah.
what that might be. Um, and then I mean, how good is just shared meals? Like if you're in an office and you're having like a bring your own ingredients for sandwich,
Yeah.
lunch type
Yeah.
of thing, it's going to get people around it. And I'm sure you could have some funny stories about the different ingredients people have brought along and the combinations.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, like yes, 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 definitely like, carrots and cucumber or chips or something like that. Who knows? Who knows? A bit
Yeah,
of
like
Indian
food
mix,
always
Asian mix.
totally like food fusion. Food just brings people together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I love that. And I really like the point you said about the laptop thing. One of the companies I used to work for did that initiative around giving all the recycled laptops to other kids that don't have the same opportunities
Yes.
to get them to learn and basically donate those laptops to those kids. And so for me, like if someone was to tell me, let's donate your laptop, I'm like, like, sure, why not? Like, it doesn't give me that drive to dedicate and donate my laptop. But if someone
Yeah.
was to say, yep, donate your laptop to a kid who's in need, who doesn't have the financial or whatever situation, then yes, I am more than willing to do that and do it and do it with every laptop that I've ever owned in my whole entire life. So I think connecting it to that story um for me really makes that handing over the donation or the giving a lot easier than just, hey, let's give away your laptop.
Absolutely. And just being around your coworkers and getting those little messages coming through as well.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And so, with these initiatives in place and with the people on board and practicing the practice and preaching to the choir and talking the talk, talking the walk, how does that create that circular economy that you're talking about?
Well, that's what we need. We need investment across all platforms.
Yeah.
So I've found when I do go into workplaces, there's always that one person that's driving the sustainability bus and going, oh, like we've got to do this. And they separate all the little bits of trash into the correct waste stream. But it's a collective effort. And so we do need to get everyone on board.
Yeah, how is that contributing to the circular economy? How is that giving back? How is that creating that ecosystem?
The way this contributes back to the circular economy is that it's going back to the idea of the different loops within the circular economy. And so looking at that first thing that's been created, whether it's your service or it's a product, and how can we get the most out of all the different materials and extend it into different resources?
Mm.
So the continuation of, let's take the laptop story, for example, is the kid finishes using the laptop no longer works. It then goes into a recycling stream, the different components are taken out and then reused into making like refurbishing new laptops or making new technology or downcycled and again renewed.
Mm.
So it's creating that circle and creating and the continuation of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Amazing, amazing. And so, what is it about this kind of ecosystem that's so important, and why should businesses care?
I think for me, it's the linear economy has served us for so long now, but it's very straightforward. Raw materials go into the production line, we make the products, we generate waste, we never think about it again. But with this circular economy, we're creating something and we're following its a whole life journey. And we're also, you can make more money. Like if you're in business and you want to grow your revenue, look at circular economy. Like from your waste, you could probably create new products. From those products, you could create new services. And it's also future-proofing the industry. So for me, having a circular economy business, I don't go with the fear mongering. I think a lot of people might answer your question with saying, one day we'll have to do this.
Mm.
Legislation will come in and you will be forced to do this. I don't go with that approach. I go with the positive news stories.
Yeah.
And that's that it's going to You can look at expansion. It's going to give you seats at tables that you probably haven't had access to before because you're part of a new conversation. And it can just take what you've got today and revolutionize it.
Yeah.
Plus, we're looking at, like, when you look at trends like the new generation, the millennials, the Gen Zs, they're actively looking for sustainable products, for circular solutions.
Mm.
There, there's more than it's over 60% are willing to pay more for that. It's now becoming a premium product. And like 70% of consumers in the US and Canada actually like they consider sustainability when making a purchase. And
Yeah.
again, willing to change habits, willing to pay more for it. So it's not a bad thing to start considering in your business.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And I think I'm just trying to think of different ideas for people who are listening, right? So again, because I'm in the service-based industry, would you be able to give maybe some examples as to how to kind of create that system in a service-based or for coaches, consultants, anyone who does the teaching of things?
Absolutely. Yeah, so the first thing I'd look at is what are they currently offering? Look at the whole life cycle of what they're offering. Like, have you got an example for me?
Let's do a business coach, someone who coaches businesses to grow.
Yeah, and are we going to do it for the business coach for their business or for their clients?
The business coach for their business, like their
For
business.
their business. Okay, I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that. Yeah, so I would, again, thinking about Brian from Green Pal, you've got an active audience, you've
yeah.
got a platform. Can you start doing educational content and advocacy around circular economy? The other thing is efficiencies in the business model. So how can you streamline and reduce the amount of things that are being wasted? You
Mm,
could even just start by looking in your bin. Like what's going into your bin that you could eliminate or you could do better. You're probably using a lot of technology. Where are you getting that technology from? How often are you updating it? What are you doing when you no longer use it?
yeah,
Who are your suppliers? Like look at your suppliers and be critical of them. And like, are they doing good things for the planet? Are there better options out there? They become your good news stories.
mm,
So if you're working with an incredible supplier, perhaps they use plant-based ink for something, or they've got
yeah,
solar power, lean into that type of thing. Paperless is another thing. I think a lot of businesses now are paperless, but then it
yeah,
goes into the e-waste story. Ethical banking, like that's it. That's not easy. It took me a while to change my banking over, but
yeah,
I got it done.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I would just start looking at that, the ecosystem you're in and the things that you're using day to day,
Hmm.
and then how you can also put that out to your clients and your audience.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. I like how you said, who's your supplier? So looking at the beginning of the chain and then what goes into your trash bin. And I'm thinking right now, like I'm thinking, okay, trash bin. I don't necessarily have a physical trash bin, but I have a lot of like different tech stacks that I use, or I have a lot of content that I produce, or I have a lot of um tasks that I inundatedly day to day do on a repeat basis that could be potentially automated. Like I'm just thinking of that, I'm not just like the physical things, which is I wouldn't say easier to measure, but for services who can't physically see their waste, sometimes it's
Yes.
hard to put things into like perspective, right? So any other suggestions that you might think when it comes to the non-tangible service-based waste?
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about green technologies and different
Yes.
financial practices. Trying to think what else. Bear with me, Vi. I'm thinking.
That's okay. Take your
Oh,
time.
you know what it could be? You know what would be a good one? And I'm just riffing here, is if you're taking client meetings, where are you taking those meetings? And like how good would it be to go to somewhere and know that like they've got ethical coffee or they've
Mm,
got a little like farm to table type of operation. And then you could just add that into the client experience.
yeah.
And I wonder what that would do. Or, that's where you take your online meeting. And it might sound a bit, like, what's that got to do with anything? But I also am a big believer in the energy of spaces. And there's
Mm,
just something different. So my grandpa's a furniture maker, and there is such a different energy for when I'm in his home to when I'm in someone's home that it might be all mass produced type furniture.
yeah.
And it's something that I can't quite put my finger on, but it goes back to like what is the environment that I'm operating in and who are the people that I'm surrounding myself with and the operations and the things that they're investing in.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting point about the furniture. You know, I recently went to a cafe that's all about sustainability, that they give X amount of plates and donate it to a third world country, and then they kind of have the ecosystem, and everyone who works there is from that country, and so it kind of
That's
it's
beautiful.
yeah, oh, I love it. And there's a lot of those different cafes, and I was like really just touched when I was sitting in there, just looking at the numbers of people that have impacted, their whys, and even the people behind the scenes, cooking and things like that. You can see their ethical background, and they're really doing it for a reason. They're not just cooking a meal, like they're cooking a meal so that like they can pride their family, their home, their community, their country with more food. So I thought that was quite beautiful, and
Yes.
only when you raise these is when I actually think about think about it on a
Yeah.
conscious level.
And I'm not sure if that's somewhere where you would take a client and have a meeting or if you would just take your laptop and work from, but I think that would come across like you'd be communicating so much to your audience, to the person
Mm.
in front of you about what your values are.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah,
just saw how you lit up when you started to talk about that space. So I
yeah,
imagine just even in that meeting, you're probably just on a really beautiful
yeah, yeah, yeah.
vibration
Exactly. I
without
was just in
sounding.
my own like beautiful awe, wonder, world is great, beautiful, positive zone.
Yeah, that's right. Without sounding too woo because that's
Yeah,
not really really my general style. But
yeah, I get
just
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
things like that is what I would be considering as a service-based business.
Yeah, no, I love that so much, Jesse. And so, like, you've given us so many tips around how to actually create the sustainable economy. So how about you? Where next for your business?
Yeah, so at the moment we are going through a rebrand
Yeah.
because what I've found is that Ocean Haircare was a great name when I started, but it's also very niche and
Yeah.
I need to be able to expand and offer more things. So the two things that are happening is there's the rebrand that's happening right now and it's going to be changed to Evercircle. And then there's a whole other focus and arm to the business, which is all about learning from us. So an educational hub
Yeah.
where I've already started working with product-based businesses to help them become circular.
Yeah.
But there'll also be online lessons available for anyone that wants to start dipping into circular economy. So the business has become both product and service.
Yeah.
And I'm also just looking at the like again looking at what are the other solutions. It's still a new thing for me because I found the problem first and the waste material was put in my hand. So now I'm having to start where typically you would begin as a product-based business of this is the product and then this is the problem, the solution, and then what's the material that we're going to use.
Yeah. 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 Oh, amazing. I love that. And so,
Yeah.
if people want to learn more about people want to learn, get your educational videos, where do they find you, Jesse?
Yes, I would go to Instagram and go to ecoocean.living.
Yeah.
And if you jump on there and follow me, don't worry about the rebrand. We'll take you through the whole journey. So you'll still be able to stay on the platform and be part of the audience. And yeah, I would jump on there, send me a DM, let me know that you heard about me through Vi, and I'd love to start conversations
Yeah.
with new faces around circular economy.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Jesse. And so, before we close off, is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we close off today?
Yeah, I would just say customers are looking for this kind of thing. It's really trending. Etsy said that like year by year it increases 131% searches for
Wow.
eco-friendly products.
Wow.
So I would get onto it now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're interested, I've even got a free assessment tool on my website. So you can find that tool at ecooceanliving.com.au, find the product assessment tool under services, put your product through that, and then we can start talking about how you can improve it
Amazing, amazing.
and join
I'll
us in
have
the circular world.
Yeah, I love that. I will actually put the two links in the description so that way people can just go into it,
Great.
check you out on Instagram, have a look at the assessment. That would be really, really amazing. And then, yeah, hopefully we get to build this community, build this voice, and build this message right across. So, yeah, thank you so much for coming on board. I've really enjoyed having a chat with you, Jessie, and I look forward to seeing your journey.
Likewise. Thanks so much, Vi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you listening into the show today. And if you did like our content, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or this YouTube series, so that way we can keep giving you more content and sharing you more knowledge around how to scale your sales online. And if you are wanting to boost your sales online, please sign up to our e-sales school, where you will learn to automate and navigate your way around in this digital marketplace. Thank you so much once again. I really appreciate you joining in today. And remember to keep selling, keep having fun, and keep being you.